All right, let's finish Red Pill. Now that Squid's here. Squid, I know you're in the chat. We're watching this now for you. I waited for you. Just kidding.
Battered children grow up to batter, that's what I learned. Whether it be a man or a woman. And I now know that if a woman comes in with a history of violence in her
No,
own
the
childhood,
real Red Pill.
chances are she will be probably violent to her
This
children,
is
and she will want to live on
this
nice
pill right here is like you scratch the red and you're like, oh motherfucker, it's actually fucking black on the backside. Like you're black pilled, I'm actually red pilled. I'm trying to red pill you.
edge of crisis and danger.
I haven't been allowed to speak. That's the difficulty.
Why is that?
Because I'm completely barred from all conferences. I'm not allowed to walk up the step of my own refuge. I bought the bloody building. But no, because there's feminists. The woman who runs it is a very heavy feminist. She won't have anything to do with me.
What did you say that made them hate you?
That women could be equally as violent as men. That was from the beginning.
I went back a couple minutes just so we can kind of remind me where we're at. Hell yeah. Give me all the pills. Oh, wow. That black and blue one's pretty.
In 2014, the CDC released a report revealing that over 5.4 million men and 4.7 million women had been victims of intimate partner physical violence within the previous 12 months. But then why does the media paint domestic violence as a women's issue?
The World Health Organization says 1 in 3 women are abused by their partner.
1 in 3 American women experiences domestic violence or stalking at some point in her life.
And when it was addressed as a men's issue, the speaker's point was that it's a men's issue because men are the problem.
I'm going to share with you a paradigm-shifting perspective on the issues of gender violence. I don't see these as women's issues that some good men help out with. In fact, I'm going to argue that these are men's issues. Why is domestic violence still a big problem in the United States and all over the world? What's going on? Why do so many men abuse physically, emotionally, and verbally and other ways the women and girls and the men and boys that they claim to love? What's going on with men?
Let's grant every single empirical.
So maybe this would be something that I would take on as a if I wanted to do like a video essay or something and I wanted to go into a deep dive on it, we can get the data. But it kind of reminds me of the gun control or the anti-gun control argument about other things that that happen, like as far as like violence or whatever, right? Like why don't we care about knives, or once we get past guns then we're going to talk about knives next, and yada yada yada, because it's really just about control. Well, because that is a thing they do, by the way. They talk about like the frequency of knives being used or how often people are hurt by knives, etc. So the thing I'm going to say, that and this is why I brought up, like if I wanted to do a video essay, I would want numbers, but I would say looking at those numbers, right, and taking them at face value that they're true, in order to count as intimate partner violence, when me and my wife are in an argument, right, and then she slaps me or she hits me or she throws something at me, incident. When my 100 some odd pound wife hits 200 some odd pound me, punched me in the face, and Elle's right, probably deserved it. And the police are called, incident. Now, what I would ask, and why we have the posters we have, is if my wife punches me out of anger, or flip the incident and now I'm the abuser, right? Because women can abuse men for sure. And domestic violence, intimate partner violence, you know, from women on men absolutely happens. But when she punches me out of anger and then flip it, right? Alternate reality, I punch her out of anger. Who do you think's going to the hospital? The reason why I speculate that although numbers can be higher in intimate partner violence, the reason I will speculate that the focus is on men, again, is not some conspiratorial thing against men because we just hate men. It's because the result of it is oftentimes death and serious bodily harm. Like, I would like to see the numbers on how many, if we break down intimate partner violence that results in a murder, what are the breakdowns of that?
Violence to develop
100%. If the conversation, 100%. If the conversation has to do with like getting help, acknowledging there's a problem, etc. I wouldn't say like, no, you should ignore intimate partner violence visited on men because when they get punched, their skull's not broken. There is zero argument there, right? Again, what I want to be careful about though is to make sure that what men's right activists, white supremacists, all these groups of people do is what they're really good at doing is they're good at conflating problem sets, right? And what they'll do is they kind of overlap these issues to try to feed one into the other when they can absolutely just be separate issues. Also, when they do that, what they're doing is trying to connect a causal direction, right? As to support their claim. So what I mean by that is to say that if we know that violence being visited, intimate partner violence is visited on men very often, it's not a rare thing. I would ask, what would one think is the reason that we don't address it? Well, when I butt up the fact that women, as a totality, according to the study, and I'll just take it with a grain of salt. If I doubt it, or if I'm, what's the methodology? What are we talking about? What counts as violence? Whatever they count as violence, we see that the number is lower for women than it is for men. When they butt that up against it, they're automatically insinuating the causal direction to say, look, this is proof that we care more about women than men, and we shit on men, and we don't care about them because look at the ads, and look at women don't even get visited violence upon as much. I would say that the way toxic masculinity works is that most men are shamed into not doing something about the violence visited upon them. Right? It's the same thing for sexual assault and rape. Most men are like, you can't be raped, especially not by the opposite sex, because you wanted it. And oh, by the way, if it's by the same sex, then I think, are you sure you're not gay now? Right? These are these homophobic, toxic masculine traits that kind of result in that. And I mentioned this last time we were on the stream, and I would say if legislation, right, legislation controls the money, they control what a state spends on. And when the legislation, the vast majority of legislation are men, they create the budgets, they decide where the money goes. If I'm going to be mad at a group of people that do not take intimate partner violence against men seriously, I'm going to be mad at the society that has trained men to internalize that, to hold it in, to call me a bitch if I'm getting beat up by my wife, to say that that I'm getting cucked by her, that you know what I mean? And the legislation that controls the budget doesn't even give a fuck about, you know, hypothetically, if I'm the person, you know, getting abused, doesn't even give a fuck about the men getting abused enough to put money towards centers for them. The men in power create the system that victimizes men. So the argument is not that men are not victimized, or I wouldn't even say the argument is not that men aren't ignored, because they are. My argument, and where I divert from this blue pill nonsense, is why? That's the question. Why is it like that? And it seems like they're trying to say it's women's fault and it's feminism's fault. And I would say that's pretty ridiculous.